Welcome, everyone. This is Aleister Nacht. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. What a nice crowd, and we're getting a lot of chat. This is really fantastic. A great way for us to all get together from all sections of the left-hand path. Tonight, I'm very excited. I have a couple of folks here who I respect and who have written some really great books. You probably know them, but if you don't, Marie RavenSoul is here. She's the author of At Satan's Altar, and I've got both of those books behind me back there. And then Kindra Ravenmoon, she's with us as well. She has just released a book, and both of these books are doing very well. So thank you, ladies, for being here. This is kind of exciting. This is the first event like this that I've ever done. I've never interviewed anyone, so I'll probably botch this up, but we'll just have a good time, if nothing else, okay? So anyway, just for the audience, we do have people here attending from the U.S., from Europe, it looks like Scandinavia, Australia, Romania, South America as well, and UK. Thank you, April. So we've got a nice turnout. Thank you, everyone, for doing this. We hope you'll enjoy it. So let's jump right into the subject matter here. So we'll start with Marie. Again, Marie, thank you for being here. So tell us a little bit about what At Satan's Altar is about.
It's a book that has prayers, chants, affirmations, hymns, and rituals in it. There's also a description about different offerings that can be used to give to Satan and how to, some advice on how to create a satanic altar.
Okay, good. And Kindra, you've just released a book, Lucifer, a devotional, and I just got it just a few days ago. And so what is your book about?
Well, the title pretty much says it all, Aleister. It's a devotional to Lucifer. And this is actually, I did put in the description of the book as well for those who ever read the descriptions up on Amazon. It is a completion of a pact that I made with Lucifer 7 years ago. And as my end of the bargain, once I obtained what I wished for, which I have a while back, so I'm a little delayed in this, in putting this out, but I did promise to devote a book solely to Satan under the name of Lucifer, because I see Satan and Lucifer as the flip side of the other. So this is solely put out to Lucifer, and the book itself contains prayers, affirmations, how to set up your sacred space or sanctum to Lucifer, and I explain it for someone who doesn't even have an altar space, who's setting it up maybe on the floor of their living room, because that's the only space they have for temporary spaces. But I go into more on if you have your own permanent altar set up, and some advice how to approach the altar when you light Lucifer's candle, suggestions what to say, and I also have a section in there as well with little bits of maybe Latin here and there, but the little Latin I put the English translation underneath. And the end of the book is Ego Luciferi, and that is basically my channeling of Lucifer's words to everybody about who he is and what he's here for.
Okay, nice. I'm excited to read it, so I'm looking forward to jumping right into it. For the audience, if you have questions during the chat, just drop those in the chat. You also have Ask a Question function, and I'll make sure that we get those addressed while we're here, so feel free to do so. So, Marie, what was your inspiration for writing your book?
Well, when I was young, I promised Satan that I would write for him. I first started writing poetry and fiction, um, but then back in 2003, someone suggested to me to start a satanic website because there wasn't many at the time. So that's how In Satan's Honor was started. And then a few years ago, someone suggested that I put my writings from that into book form. So I took some of the prayers, some of the chants, and then wrote a whole pile more, and then made the book.
Okay, good, good. And what about you, Kindra? What was your inspiration for this?
Well, my inspiration was Satanus Luciferi, and as I stated, it was a completion of a pact. So it's something I promised to do. I have published another book in between this, so I felt like it was really time, and I kind of felt him nudging me that, hey, what about me, remember? So I put this out. So this was my motivation, and the motivation for anything I write, this book or anything else I've written in past, and I'm writing now, that I'm going to be presenting for future, is Satan. It's Satanus Luciferi is my motivation, my love for this God, for my God, and also my promise I made to him that I would not just help get his name out there, but debunk misconceptions about him, and also let those who are interested, who are really meant to walk his path, know of him in truth.
Nice, very nice. Well, like I say, I'm very excited to read that book. Now, I've read Marie's book, and it's been out for a while now. But Marie, I also understand that you're going to be writing another book, or maybe you're already writing one. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's almost done.
Okay. So, what is this book going to be about?
This one is Satanic Psalms.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
it includes the ones that are on my website, and then more.
Great. So this
I'm
will be.
looking forward to that.
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I think our audience is as well. So this one will kind of pick up where the other one left off with more offerings, more psalms, more uh, poetry type recitations. Is that correct? Am I getting that right? Or
This one will just be Psalms, and then there's another one that I'm also working on, and that'll be Proverbs.
Mm, okay, nice, nice. So Kendra, you just released your book, but I guess the question is, do you plan to write others in the future?
Yeah, actually, this book release was delayed. It should have been released back in September. So I already have been working on another book all this time, which is hopefully, depending how quick I am with getting what I need to get to the person that's helping me with the editing, hopefully it'll be out by the end of January.
Oh, really? Okay,
Aleister disappeared.
that soon. Well, I will come.
Yeah, okay, you're still there. Okay, you hear me?
Yeah,
I see you disappear.
yeah.
About the end of January, for sure, the very beginning of the new year. And this one is going to be, it's on satanic witchcraft. But satanic witchcraft, a theistic satanic witchcraft.
Nice, very nice. I'll be looking forward to that one as well. Excellent, excellent. So, Marie, what is your writing process?
Well, before I sit down to write, I go to the altar first, and I ask Satan to write through me. With the Psalms, I actually ask him to channel through me for the first one, and then the second one is a response to that one. I like writing alone. I like silence. Sometimes I will go out outside in nature to write. But yeah, it's just, to me, it's the spiritual practice.
Nice, nice. I've talked with authors who make themselves write so many words a day, and then at the end of the year they kind of cut that down to a book. I, for me, I have to be inspired to write, and I guess it's probably the same with a lot of writers. But that sounds like a really good process that you have there. So, Kendra, is yours similar, or how do you go about it?
It depends what I'm writing. I'm very similar to Marie in that aspect, and a lot of it is through inspiration or almost through. I get my motivation through writing by meditation, channeling the energy of Satanas, you could say, and just more or less letting him or the infernal around me push me or give me a nudge what it is I'm to do.
Yeah.
However, certain other works I've done in the past, they were done mostly on as if you're putting out something for school on a deadline, where the same thing, you have to write so much per day and setting yourself a deadline. But that was because those works were more academic works, and eventually I did put them out to public for a short while. So that's really tedious, and I don't like to work like that. I rather be pushed and driven by inspiration. And if I really don't feel like writing one day, I'm not going to force myself. Otherwise, I'll just end up scrapping anyways what I put out if it's really not from the heart.
Right, right. I totally understand that, and I concur with that as well. It seems like if I try to write when I don't feel like writing or I don't really have his touch, then I end up throwing it all out anyway. So the writing process itself has really gotten to be, I guess, easier in some ways, especially for have a market now without the big publishers and the conglomerates and things like that. But what do you like most about the entire writing process from the time you come up with the concept until your book is for sale? So, Kendra, why don't you take that one?
That one's a little difficult because it's depending what it is I'm working on, but the process in general is it's like working with clay. You're creating and you're creating, you're building that energy and building that energy. And then at the end, once it's finally out there and you have the physical copy printed in your hands, then it's like the release. But I don't fully feel that release until I see the physical copy. So it's the build up all the way till then. It's very orgasmic in that sense, the way I'm explaining it. But it's basically that, it's not maybe a physical orgasm, but it's like a mental orgasm or just a spiritual one.
Right, right. Nice. That's an interesting way of describing it. It almost seems like a ritual in itself, right? Building energy and
Absolutely.
then releasing it. Nice. Very nice. So, Marie, what do you think about that?
Very very
Go ahead.
similar to that. And I asked, like, I'm just waiting for Satan now to tell me to stop with what I'm doing with this one. When I was writing at Satan's altar, I felt him say, okay, stop, this is it. So that's when I knew, because you could keep going and going and going. You could write, like, 1,000 prayers, but and then you'll never get it out there.
Right.
So when I felt him saying, okay, that's it, then I knew the book was done. And then you go through the editing process and all of that. So I know that this one, the Psalms, is almost done. I'm just waiting to feel that from him saying, okay, no more.
I
Uh,
totally get that though, because even with this book here, Lucifer Devotional, originally it was close to 150 pages, and then something just pushed me to like go back, reread it, and shorten it. So I really didn't want it to be more than 100 pages in the end once it was complete. So I took a lot of material out, and that's going into the Satanic Witchcraft book instead.
nice. Very nice. Yeah, it sounds like it's a similar process to how you guys write to how I write as well. So it's um, I think in my opinion, we're living in one of the best times in history for independent authors, especially being able to get again to the market without these large publishers and without them choking the creativity out of you. Do you ladies agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. I actually turned down some publishers in past and recently for the same thing. They seem like they're going to help you and give you what you want, but in the end, they want you to change things, or they're going to edit the hell out of it, and it's no longer your original material. It's just maybe
Mhm.
a lacing of what you originally wanted.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like they have, their idea of the book and you have your idea of the book, and those two never quite meet, do they?
No, and there's also a thing now I find with a lot of the publishers out there, they're lazy. They just want to profit off you, basically. Years ago, when you published a work through a publisher, you hand them in your file, and then they'll touch up on the edits, and they'll do whatever needed to be done, the formatting and everything. Now, with every publisher I have encountered or who has approached me or I approach them, they want you to do everything,
Wow.
every single little thing, and even to your own cover design, unless you pay them a certain fee and then they have their people design the cover. So in the end, it becomes a lot more work and stress because you're trying to please someone else and fit their standards than actually self-publishing on your own. And they're taking a cut out of your hard work, your double hard work. So I really don't think going with publishing companies nowadays is worth it at all.
I agree with that. Marie, do you agree with
Yeah.
that? You-
Oh, for sure. And I like being able to, you know, hire my own illustrators and, choose what's on the cover and, choose what editor I use. And the whole designing process, you choose who does that for you. And yeah, for sure.
So, for our audience, I will mention that both of these ladies have had their books in the top 100 within the last couple of weeks. So, congratulations to you both for that.
Thank you.
It's we have to celebrate these victories. They're few and far between, so to speak, for us authors. So I was really impressed. Great job, great job. So that tells me that the people are really liking what you're doing and they're embracing it and they're reaching out to it. The comments and things like that, um, everything is very positive that I've read on both of these. So congratulations to both of you on those. So
Thank you.
for our audience, again, if you have any questions, drop those in the chat. We do have a couple questions here. Let me pull up the first one here. So this one comes from Barry Wilson, and it says, "Please clarify or correct me. Did Anton LaVey reject his own satanic principles while he was on his deathbed?" So that's the first part of the question. Do you ladies know? Do you know very much about that?
I know that whole scenario is a Christian propaganda. And basically, a few Christians put out some YouTube videos on that and put out some blogs claiming that Anton LaVey on his deathbed said something along the lines like, "Oh no, what have I done?" And then they embellish it saying that he saw the light or saw that Jesus or Yahweh actually existed and he made a mistake. And they have their whole story now. He's condemned in hell and yada yada yada. Thing is, how would they even know? They weren't there when he died, and his wife and his daughter clearly
Yeah.
stated they were there. He never said anything like that, and he never regretted what he has done. So that's just It's just propaganda, and again, it's lies told to try and convert people back to Christianity.
I see. I see. All right, let's take one more. So this one comes to us from Jonathan. It says, is there any connection between Satan and Saturn? And do you guys believe that Satan created man? Who wants to try that one?
Marie, I don't want to do all the talking.
Not all at once.
I don't know if we can.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if we can be sure, like how our beginning was. I believe that Satan is primordial. I don't believe he was created. But as far as like how we came to be, I don't know that we can ever be sure until, the end kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I like to believe in my own, but again, whatever satanic creation story I or anyone else puts out is exactly that, a creation. It's a fabrication because no one knows. I like to believe that we're here because of Satanas. However, who knows? Like Marie, I fully agree, and I can agree with her that he is primordial. However, doesn't mean he created us. It's nice to think that he did. As far as we can all agree on is that this is his realm. This is his earth. He is ruler of this earth. And if they're talking about Saturn as the god Saturn, that is something else. That could be seen as an energy or an egregore of Satan or Satanus. But I don't see Saturn as, because people always refer to that painting of Saturn eating the people or the children, ripping off their heads.
Right.
I don't see that painting per se as being Satan. That's depicting of the mythology of the god Saturn.
I see. All right. Marie, you have anything on that to add?
No, I don't really have an opinion on it, no.
Okay. All right. So we talked about what you liked most about writing. So let's go the other way. What do you like the least about writing, Marie?
The editing, for sure.
Editing?
I don't like editing.
I agree.
I don't like editing, and I'm really hard on myself as well. Like when I'm going through something, I will reread it so many times and edit it so many times, and then when I finally release it to the editor, like I want it to be perfect before I release it to the editor, but yeah, and then having to cut, like when I was first taking a writing course, and the teacher said, "Well, you have to cut at least like half of this." I was like, "No, like what do you mean?" Like. But yeah.
Don't touch my baby.
Yeah.
It's like chopping an arm off,
It is. Yeah. It's a labor of love, and then someone wants to come in with a red marker and just start,
But they show you then why they say what they do, and then like how it sounds a lot better when you cut it, and then you're like, oh yeah, okay, then you understand it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good. So, what do you say to that, Kindra? What do you not like?
I fully agree with Marie. The editing is a bitch and a half. However, this is why with the Satanic Witchcraft book, because it's going to be over 200 pages, I have someone doing the edits for me. And I got to the point that, because I want to perfect it, like Marie, I want to perfect it as much as possible before giving it to the editor. However, he just told me at this point, just send him the rough drafts and let him clean it up, because I do want this thing out early in the new year. But I had issues with that, and in the beginning, I did have a lot of trouble having someone else change my work around or telling me what words to change in some ritual stuff. And I'm like, then I looked at it from an outside point of view, and I said, yeah, but you know what? He's right.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to hand him in the work, let him do his corrections, or what he likes to do with me is he gives suggestions. I suggest, instead of saying do this or change this around, or he'll say I suggest. So then I'll think about it for about a day, and then I'm like, oh, okay, or I'll come to a compromise within myself, because with him it's like it's my book, I could do what I want, right? He's just suggesting something, but I take it to heart, and then I have to like, okay, I'll compromise within myself and say, okay, I'll do it like this, maybe not fully what he said, but something like this, and then I'll send him a message giving him my reasonings. But it's always, editing's a bitch and a half, and the formatting, I don't like that. I like the writing process, it's everything else that comes after.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I totally agree. The editing is absolutely crazy, and to go one further, when you do your audiobook, and I guess you guys, are you planning to do audiobooks of your works?
I'm thinking about it because I got some people that have, written to me asking me, and they have some good, like people that are blind,
Right.
or that, just have problems reading or whatever. So I am thinking about that.
Great.
It's a hard process though, because I got messages like that too, and people recommending it, but I'm like, how do we even go about that? Like, first of all, in my apartment here would be
Right.
impossible because there's always this outside noise happening or something to interrupt. So I don't even know where to begin with that. Aleister, you're doing an amazing job at it, I must say.
Well, I tell you what, it is a pain in the ass, if I could coin your phrase. It absolutely is. I would rather do anything else. And it's I work with a couple of really good producers that they're very hard on me. So I'll make a pass through and we'll review it, and I'll be like, "Well, that's really good," and she'll be like, "That sucked. Are you hearing what I'm hearing? That sucked. Where's the performance at?" And I'm not a performer. I'm a writer. Let's do it again. And so I hate doing it. I'm glad that I did, but I hate the process. Absolutely. So let
Is
me
it
catch
very
you.
long, the process? I'm sorry, but I have to know,
Yeah.
is it very long, the process for doing an audiobook?
It takes 31 days for us to produce one, and that is everything included. And what the process is, if you're interested in that, what our process is, and I imagine it works pretty much the same. After choosing the book and getting everything printed out, big enough where I can see it because I'm an old fuck. Um, and then going into the studio, we just have a little office space that's set up as a studio. And as she says, we go to read, and I just start reading. And when we get to the end of that pass, we'll go back and we'll see what's salvageable. If I need to do what they call a punch in, punch out, maybe a couple of words in the middle of it are crap. So I'll go back and just record those few words, kind of listen along with it and drop those in. And then, so it takes about 31 days for the entire process. Now, my part of it is over fairly quickly because it usually takes me about 5 days, maybe 6 days to do the audio. And then I'm done because I'm impossible if I'm sitting around the studio not doing something. So it's kind of like, okay, we've got what we need from you. Bye. Go home, go to the beach, get in the kayak. We'll call you when we have something for you to hear. And then what they do is they do the magic because they have to go back and normalize it, take out all the noise, my breath and things like that, and really put it into something that someone wants to spend 2 hours, 3 hours, 5 hours listening to. So, for them, it's an arduous process. For me, 5 days, and then I get a call. Hey, come down. Let's check it out. See what you think, and that's about it. So, but
So a
I
lot
encourage.
like recording an album.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And it was
Yeah,
the
because I know
same.
that from recording. It's like, yeah.
Absolutely. And I've heard your music too. You sent me some of your music. Really good stuff.
brutal stuff.
Yeah, it's good
I
though.
sent him my death metal music, not even the soft stuff like the brutal stuff.
Yeah, yeah, it was
But
good.
that's all I had available on MP3 to send you, the doom metal stuff, which is more psychedelic, very 70s and totally different. And I'm singing clean and not sounding like a thousand demons through the microphone. That nice stuff I never got on MP3, and I don't even talk to the band, and we all just kind of that's a whole other story. But
Right, right. Yeah, you're right. It is a lot like doing that. You just start out trying to get some rough tracks together and, try to get a cadence going with it, and then, you kind of take it from there. But I do encourage both of you to do that. I think it's a wonderful outlet for the public. And I know a lot of people will pick up an audiobook and they will not pick up a hard copy, a Kindle or anything because they just don't have time. It's not that they wouldn't want to do it. So I encourage you both to do that. Let's see. Let me take another question here. I've got one from Cygnus. Hello, Cygnus. How are you doing? Just curious, not to minimize oneself into a label, but just curious, how would you identify yourself in relationship to others? For example, as a satanic witch, priestess, high ceremonialist, etc. So, Marie, how do you, I guess, label yourself without labeling yourself?
I just say I'm a Satanist.
Okay. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And Kindra?
yeah, basically the same. And if I have to differentiate, I'll say theistic Satanist, so they don't think I'm atheist like LaVey type or anything like that. And I am a witch, so you can label me as a satanic witch. I will say that about myself. But theistic Satanist would be the main umbrella you can say for that, for me.
Do you find that when you say Satanist for someone who is not familiar with your works, do you find that they automatically go to that atheist mindset? In other words, they automatically think you're an atheist if they're not familiar with what you've done?
Some people do, not all of them.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
For
Kendra, what
myself, it's
about
been
you?
different. Yeah, no one ever just assumed I was an atheist. Instead, they just get the Hollywood images of Satanists in their head. So they either are on the same level as I am, or they think I'm murdering babies and animals or doing weird blood rituals and whatever, you know. So
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I get that too, and I get a lot of people that they're like, "Yeah, we're with you, brother," and then I'll say "Hail Satan" or "Satanic blessings," and they're like, "What do you mean? There is no Satan?" And it's like, "We have to do this again, really? I have to do this again?" So yeah, it's pretty tiring. It really is. Let me take one more question here from the group. These are really good questions. Thank you, everyone. Nightshade, I'm glad that you're here tonight. I was a guest on Nightshade's podcast, I guess, a week ago. Yeah, last Sunday, I guess. And I had a really good time. If you haven't checked that out, please do so. Go over there. I
yeah,
think
Flatline to
he's,
Beatline is Nightshade's podcast, and Nightshade and I co-host together Hails and Horns, and we also had you on there. We had both of you actually, Marie RavenSoul and Aleister Nacht on our show, and Hails and Horns and Flatline to Beatline. That's totally Nightshade's baby, but go and check that out. Go and check it
yeah,
out. He's on all the forums. Check out his YouTube is the easiest one, and then he has the links there to his other platforms.
great, great. Yeah, absolutely. He's doing some really good stuff over there for the Left Hand Path, and it doesn't really matter what you're doing. If you're Left Hand Path or you're taking the alternative route or what have you, there's something for you to enjoy over there. So please do. So his question is: have both guests considered working together to compose a single book? That's an excellent question. Who wants to take that first?
That
I'm
is
going to jump in and
interesting.
say, I would love to do that. And the thought, actually, Marie, because we talk sometimes, but I never brought it up to you because it is a recent thought. I actually did think of that, of composing something.
Yeah, I think
and
that would be
both
fun,
put
I think.
something together. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. And we're both from Canada to top it off, and
Yeah.
we're really not
Yeah.
that far from each other.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So do you guys know each other in person? I mean, do you socialize together before COVID,
So,
I guess, you know?
sadly, not. We're in different provinces.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it's only recently we always knew each other from online, but it's only recently we actually started like chatting, you could say. And but no, I would love that, and I don't have a problem going down where Marie lives when there's no COVID and we're allowed to
Yeah.
travel again
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
buses.
I'm looking forward to that too. I tell you, I miss a lot of friends that I used to be around that, you know, everybody's just kind of scared right now, you know, so very much looking
Yeah, I
forward
can't
to
even
that
cross
ending.
the border. Like COVID hit exactly when I had a trip to Salem planned
Is
and
that
spending
right?
some time in the US. Yeah,
You know, Venus Satanas went to Salem, I guess, not too long ago, or maybe it was a year
a year
ago.
ago,
Was it?
last Halloween. Yeah.
I have never been. It looks like so much fun, though. It looks like it's really interesting, you know. So good, good. So here's a question for both of you. Who is your favorite occult author? So Marie, who is your favorite?
I like a lot. A book that stands out to me was The Devil's Apocrypha by John DeVito. It's written as fiction, but there's a lot of truth to it. It's very inspiring. I think it was published in like 2004. No, maybe earlier than that. But there was an organization formed around that book called the Church of the Fallen. I don't know if anyone remembers, by Reverend
Yeah.
Diabolicus. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I find a lot of inspiration in that. I go back to that and read it sometimes.
And
Oh,
what about
amazing.
you,
I totally
Kendra?
forgot about that.
Yeah.
For me, like Marie, there's like a long list. Just off the top of my head, though, who I have read the most from when I first started really associating as a Satanist, would be Michael Aquino. And of
Yeah.
course, Anton LaVey, even though I'm not taking his same approach as Satanism, he influenced me a lot, and I have done his rituals, but from a theistic point of view. When I
Right.
was younger, so obviously LaVey, surely Aquino. Aleister, you're one of the top authors I admire, and my favorite
Yeah.
book from you is Satanism and Devil Worship. That's is an amazing book. I love all of them, but that one for sure. But if we go really back, old school would be
Right.
Aquino and LaVey for sure. Otherwise, I like various like occultists or witches, even like Doreen Valiante had influenced me a lot. And she was actually what fascinated me with this woman is that she was an occultist and a traditional witch and researcher, professional researcher, before becoming the first high priestess of Wicca in Gerald Gardner's outfit when he put Wicca together. And what I love about her is she saw all the bullshit that he was about. Like eventually she opened her eyes, she left him and went back to traditional witchcraft. And then she was part of Robert Cochrane's current for
Nice.
there for his covenant. Now for the life of me I can't remember the name. Tubal Cain, Clan of Tubal Cain, that's it.
Tubal
But I
Cain.
highly
Yeah.
admired her for that and what she put out into the world, not just the witchcraft but the occult in general.
Yeah. Yeah. And for those Freemasons out there, you'll recognize that name, Tubal Cain. I'll just leave it at that, I guess. But sometimes I get questions about that as well. But great. So, what book are you reading right now, Kendra?
That's the problem. I have tons of books I want to be reading, but
Yeah.
because I'm in the process of writing, I try not to let anything influence me
Ah, okay.
Mm.
as I'm writing. So I'm trying not to read. So at the moment, I'm going to read articles and small things I find online. And my books I should be reading or want to read are piled up on the side. So, but in those books, there are some traditional witchcraft books by Gemma Gary I want to read, and Nigel Peterson, and there's also a book by Robert Atkinson I want to read that I have pushed aside there on old tradcraft, and then there's some historical works on devil worship in France from the 1400s.
Oh, nice. Nice.
Yeah, yeah.
And Marie?
But I am writing a
Um,
bit about that in my upcoming book, so I'm trying not to read on it. Sorry.
okay. All right. Great. Marie, what about you? What are you reading right now?
I'm ready to start Kindra's book and The Devil's Party by Per Faxneld.
Oh, that sounds
Cool,
good.
awesome.
Nice. We've got some good comments here. One of them I'd like to point out here is, let's see, where did it go? It moved. Barry says, you folks are more normal than my last church crowd. So I guess that's a compliment, maybe?
Or a disappointment. He thought we'd be really out.
Yeah, it could be. It could be. Great. Great. Let me catch another question here from the crowd. Let's see. James, in rituals, I have a hard time saying chants correctly. Okay, well that was a comment. Thank you for that. Let's see here. Let me go down to the next user here. Would you agree that Satan can be used in a pagan path? So who wants to take that one?
I'm going to jump in and say no, because paganism, like they said, a pagan path. If you want to take a pagan approach to Satan, is something different. But if you're viewing him in a pagan path, paganism is cultural based. Satanism is universal. So there is no cultural background to Satan. There's no people of Satan or people of the land. There's no land of Satan, whereas paganism, each is tied to a specific land, a specific region, a specific country, and people. So it really depends. Like you can't have Celtic Satanism, for example. It's just doesn't exist. Satanism is not it's not that at all. But if you want to take what I would call a pagan approach to it, more or less honoring Satan in the ways maybe a pagan would honor their deity. And in a way we do. It's all like we're lighting candles at the altar, we're saying devotional prayers and giving offerings, and pagans do that as well. So that to me could be taking a pagan approach, but it is not a pagan, Satanism is not a pagan tradition.
Marie, what are your thoughts?
Basically the same, but I see Satan as also as the horn god. So I believe that, like witches, like the traditional witches that are worshiping the horn god, that it's Satan. They don't, they wouldn't call him that, but it's...
Yeah, absolutely. Satan is exactly that. You find Satan in every deity, in every culture, in every pantheon. There is a face of Satan. And myself come from a background of traditional witchcraft, and the horn god is the devil. It is Satan. Although tradcraft is so layered with Christianity now, they tend to say that it is not our Satan. It is the devil, is something else. But when you really look at it, in the end, it's Satan, and it's the horn god is Satan. But that again is not. It's taking a pagan approach, maybe, if you want to look at it like that, but it's still not paganism.
I see.
But I
All
agree
right.
with Marie. Yeah, the horn god is Satan, or Pan is a face of Satan.
Yeah. So we're talking about the same person by different names in many cases, right?
Absolutely.
Yep. Here's a question from Jonathan. So he says, I am not at the moment able to have altars or burn candles in my home. What can I do to build a relationship and strengthen connection with Satan without any tools? If I pray, do I just talk with him regularly and let him know that I want a connection? So who wants to take that one first?
Exactly. You can pray anywhere. You can go, in your room, outside, any time of the day, night. A lot of people think you just have to do it at night. No, you can do it. He's around every minute of the day. So, yeah, it's just connect with him. Just pray.
Yeah, open your heart. And if you can't pray out loud, I would say just close your eyes if you need to and just focus on him and put your words out there on a mental, spiritual level towards him. He will know. He will hear you. He's there. He's within you and all around you at the same time. Marie actually put out an excellent video speaking about this on her YouTube channel, and you mention it in your book as well.
Yeah.
Great. I've got another question here from He Kim. Can you use cinnamon?
Oh, hi.
I'm sorry? You were saying hello?
No, I said hi to Keith. Hi to He.
Yeah.
He Kim.
So
I know who it is.
Great. Thank you for being here. The question is, can you use cinnamon to invoke Lucifer? What is the best sense to invite Lucifer into your space? Who wants to take that?
Well, I'm going to jump into this one first. I know you just ordered my book, and I list a bunch of all this in my book, but basically whatever you would take for Satan, you could take for Lucifer with maybe some changes, because Lucifer would be the lighter aspect of Satan, is how I'm writing about him and how a lot of Satanists view him. And cinnamon is great, especially if you're honoring him during the day, for cinnamon connects with the sun. And there's a whole long list. Lotus is a great one for him as well. Lily of the Valley, another one. Champa is a good one all around for Satan or Lucifer. There's a long list. Like I do have in my book, but those are a few there that I could throw in.
And Marie?
A dragon's blood or sandalwood?
Yeah.
Wonderful. Sandalwood, fantastic. So, a question that often comes to me, and I'm very interested to see your perspective on it, is how should an aspiring writer get started writing books? Marie?
Just start writing and write as much as you can. Write what you have passion about or for. Write what you know, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't do it or that you're not good enough. Don't, focus on, say, editing or, say, mistakes. Just, if you have an idea, just get it out there. And, there's people that can help you after with the editing. And if you want to get better with writing, take a writing course. There's writing groups. But the most important thing is just start writing.
And Kindra?
Yeah, I fully agree with Marie on that. Just like start writing, take your pen and paper or sit in front of your keyboard and open up Word and just type and let it all come out of you, and worry about putting it into some kind of format or breaking it up into different subjects or chapters later on. Main thing is to get it all out, and then as you're writing, it's going to start to flow more and more for you, and then you're going to get ideas like, I'm going to write on this subject today, then I'm going to write on another subject tomorrow, and eventually these become your chapters and you're going to find a flow to it. But just let it all out. And I would also say not to stress on it, and try not to, like Marie said, don't listen to what other people have to say. It's even better not even to tell anyone at first and just dive into it. If you want, even create a personal blog. You don't have to even put it public, but just do it for yourself, just so it gets you into that habit of writing something every day upon the subject that you're interested in.
Nice. Good advice. Nightshade said, just become BFFs with these ladies and they can help you write. So he's volunteering you guys for that, so I'll throw
Yes.
that out there for you. Kindra, there is a question from Scott. Is there any plans to re-release Natural Satanic Witchcraft?
Aha! Everyone loves that book. As soon as it's a work I put out in 2011, and at the beginning of this year, because of issues with Amazon and how they were putting out the rough draft of it all this time, which I found out about, I had it pulled, and I had to legally deal with it with them on that. And am I going to re-release it? Not in exact format, because that work was mostly about, well, the first half of the book anyhow was about Orthodox Satanism, based on the practices of a coven I was part of when I was living in England, for what they let me. And that was a long work, tedious work in process, because whatever I wrote about our practices, I had to have approved by them. And it was like really, so I don't think I'm going to put that out, and I'm not going to advocate really for a specific path of Satanism now. That book was really advocating towards Orthodox Satanism, but then there was other practices within it open to whatever it is you're practicing. My new work on Satanic Witchcraft, which I'm not going to throw the title out there yet, but it is on Satanic Witchcraft, is very much, you could consider it a revamp of Natural Satanic Witchcraft, but removing everything about Orthodox Satanism from it and throwing in something a little bit new into there. But it is written for all types of Satanists who have a theistic approach to Satan.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So here is a question for you both. It's about Lilith, and it comes to us from Alan. He says, I'm strongly drawn to Lilith and dream of her often. I've also seen her manifest. Is it true that you cannot choose Lilith as your matrion demon as she chooses you? Who wants to take that one first?
From my experience with Lilith is that she is kinder towards you and is a better connection or flow with her if you allow her to choose you. And for many years, Lilith has chosen me, and she's always been there, but it's only recent years I accepted her as being my matron, and I seen that, yes, she always was, but I just was not accepting it before.
Okay.
So that's my experience.
Okay. Marie?
I would think that if you're dreaming of any deity, like if they're coming to you in a dream or you're seeing their symbols or whatever, that's a definite sign that they're trying to contact you.
Okay. All right. Here's another question from Amethyst. Do you both find it easy to stick to a daily spiritual routine? Do you guys have a daily routine?
I'll do my a small prayer in the morning, and then when I go to bed, and then if I feel drawn during the day, I will go. Before I write, I'll go before the altar and ask for his anointing.
Okay. All right. Kindra?
Yeah, I'm very much the same. However, I'm sometimes, depending, because life always takes over, I'm not always very diligent with my morning prayers. I should be more, but sometimes I slack off. But I always do something in the evening, and if I can during the day, I always light a candle and say a brief prayer, a devotional prayer, and I always give gratitude for whatever during that day or my life in general. And so that's what I do. Anything more elaborate than that, it depends on the situation, the holiday, or if I have time for it. But I always do a little something.
Okay. So, do you guys, kind of in line with writing, do you find that there are certain times of the day or night that you prefer to write? Some people like early mornings or when they first wake up. What are your thoughts on that, Kindra?
For myself personally, writing hits me best in the day. During the day, early morning and early to middle of the day, you could say. Early morning right up to the early afternoon, or maybe a little bit later in the afternoon. Then I might be inspired again late at night. But if I am doing it late at night, it's really late at night, like after 10 o'clock, and then that I could be writing all night long. It depends how the inspiration hits me.
I see. And Marie?
Definitely at the end of the day and throughout the night.
So those wee hours are just
Yes.
those are good, aren't they? Great. Let me catch up on another question here. This question is for all of you. Do any of you fast before a ritual? Do you get better results if you fast? And that comes from Kim as well.
Oh. I myself personally do not fast at all unless I have to, I feel I have to. I'm not one who believes in fasting, but that's just me. And I don't like to have a big meal either and then jump into ritual. And I'm not a person that eats a lot during the day anyhow. So when I'm doing a ritual, I'm not doing it on an empty stomach, but I didn't just eat a meal before either. And I'll usually will tend to eat something small at the end of a ritual to ground myself. But that's just me. And it's also because I don't fast, because the way my system is, I could get really ill and pass out, and then I'll be too weak and dizzy to do the ritual. So I can't really fast.
I see. Okay. Marie?
I do, especially before bigger like rituals, like say if it's a dedication or rededication ritual, or like a Halloween ritual, things like that. I think saying that if you feel that you feel called to fast, like if Satan's telling you to fast, then you should fast. And don't pay attention to say what somebody else is going to say. So like a lot of people say, oh, that's Christian, or oh, this is this. If you feel like you want to fast, then fast.
There's
it's personal. It's very personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one size fits all, right? So there is another question here. Would any of you write a book on the goddesses? And that comes from April. So.
Hi, April. Yes, actually, I started to work a while back and then I let it go because it wasn't time for it. But sometime in the future, I do plan on putting out something on the goddesses, on the darker aspect of the god, or sorry, of the goddess. I put one out already on the god faces of Lucifer, so I want to do another one. I'm not going to say calling it faces of Lilith, but it is the different faces or the different masks of the goddess.
Okay, Marie?
My focus is on Satan, but in my Proverbs, I have a lot done, like dedicated to the different daemons. There's one to Lilith in there. When I'm writing fiction, there's one book I'm working on that is focused around Ashtra.
Astra, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Interesting.
Yeah, good. That'll be good. So we also have a question from Sandy, and Sandy, correct me if I'm getting this wrong here. Can we be more called by Lucifer and feel a little uneasy with Satan? So if I'm not asking that right, Sandy, let me know. But it sounds like you're asking, can you be called by Lucifer but feel uneasy with Satan? So what do you guys think about that?
I would want to ask, does she see them as the same being and only like different sides to him, or does she see them as separate?
Yeah, that would be my question too, because that depends really where she's coming from with it.
Because I would say if she sees them as the same and just two different aspects, I would say yes. Like again, depending on where she's coming from, and maybe by working with Lucifer, he will you know help her to get closer to the darker side in time.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. It's just that Sandy, you're probably maybe through maybe religious concepts or Christian background or anything. And I know who Sandy is. She's from the same province as me. And in Quebec, it's very heavily, a lot of the Quebec people here are brought up with a lot of Christian undertones or Christian background, even if their families aren't going to church. It's just everywhere. You could say it's the egregore of the city. So I know where she's coming from with that, because I know she's been here all her life. And I would say it's probably because of that Christianity or Catholicism around here, especially Montreal, that, of course, at first you're going to have maybe a bit of fear approaching Satan, because we always see Satan as being dark and a bit scary, for someone who's new to approaching it. So they might see Lucifer, you're used to hearing about Lucifer being the light bearer or the lighter aspect of Satan. So that's probably maybe your opening to connecting with Satan. It would be through Lucifer. So I totally get that, and there's nothing wrong with it. And you're probably just not ready to fully embrace him 100% as Satan, Lucifer together, or if you're seeing them as separate as Lucifer and then also accepting Satan for who he is. Or maybe you're just meant to connect with Lucifer.
Yeah, maybe at this time in your life, she needs to connect with that lighter side, and then if and when she's ready, Satan will eventually draw her closer. Or maybe she might try, like if she has an altar, like to divide make half to the Lucifer aspect and half to the Satan aspect.
Oh, that's a great idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. Good points. Very good points.
Yeah, what I wanted to recommend to Sandy on that as well is just through meditation with Lucifer, focusing upon Lucifer, open yourself up to receive his message, and he will let you know if you are meant to start work, and when you're meant to start working with him as Satan.
Good answers. Good answers. So, Barry, yes, I have traveled from the west to the east seeking light. Does that ring any bells with you? Ladies, what would you like to be remembered for as far as your contribution to the magical arts? And this comes from Magister Cygnus as well. Who wants to take that one first?
All right. Well, myself personally, I want to be remembered for someone who got Satanis's name out there, someone who has helped others connect with him, and also to basically I could say that's basically it. My main goal, and I feel in this life, is to inspire those upon the path and motivate others. Either they be totally new to the path, and maybe what I'm putting out is leading them the right way, or inspiring them to go deeper into something else. You never know. And also to maybe give a little kick to those of us who've been well seasoned upon the path, but maybe just need to take a different approach to it, just to stir things up a bit, because we all eventually do become stagnant, and it's always good to see things from a different angle or take a different approach.
Nice.
So I want to be an inspirer. I want to be remembered as an inspirer and motivator upon the path. And yeah, that's it.
Good.
Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good. Good basically that's it. No grand titles or anything like that.
Okay. And Marie?
I just want to do Satan's will and be remembered for that, and to do whatever he wants me to do before it's my time to go.
Nice. Very nice. So, do you ladies have some upcoming events? I know that you both do a lot of YouTube posting and things like that, but do you have any special events that are coming up, Marie?
Just the books that I'm working on. I'm trying my best to get those done, and just keep working on the YouTube videos.
And Kindra?
Yeah, I could say the same thing. To continue as often as I can, for as long as I can, to be diligent with my YouTube channel, because I find that it is helping a lot of people. I was going to stop doing videos at one point, but then so many people message me and it's helping them. And I even started one I did on male witches and warlocks recently is a revamp of an older video I used to have up, and for some reason I didn't think anyone cared about it, but apparently they did, and people have been bothering me forever to redo it, so I redone it and they're happy about it. So I'm happy that it pleased people that I did that. So I'm going to be diligent more with my YouTube, but other events I have coming up, speaking of YouTube, I'm going to be doing some giveaways of my channel in the new year, maybe before the end of this year. And also my new Satanic Witchcraft book that will be coming out early in the new year.
Okay, good, good. It sounds like you're going to be busy.
Always.
And Marie? Your YouTube videos, I enjoy both of your YouTube offerings. Do you find that it is arduous to do a YouTube video for whoever wants to answer, to do it as a scheduled event? Do you find that it's a lot of work to put something like that together over and over again?
I do it when I feel like I need to do it. Like if something comes up, if someone asks something in a comment, or I feel like Satan's telling me to do something. So, but yeah, it's hard. Like say I don't see myself being able to say, okay, I'm going to do this every Friday or every Saturday. I don't know if I could do that.
Just whenever you're inspired to do so.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Kindra, I know you put out stuff almost like clockwork. Do you find that that's arduous to keep that schedule up?
Yeah, well, I kind of switched it up a bit now. It's because at the beginning of this year, I decided to take my YouTube channel seriously. After all this time, that channel been up since 2015, I believe, but I had other channels before that I've taken down. And when I decided I'm going to be serious about this, and it's a promise I made to Satan in a pact that I would be diligent, at least for this year. Next year, I can't say how much I'm going to be putting out or how often, but this year it is a promise I made to Satan that I would put out something at least once a week. And if I can't make it that week for whatever reason, I will do it double the next week. So this is why I've been so diligent doing this. However, it is very taxing. I try to dedicate every Tuesday to putting out videos, but then life happens and that doesn't always work out. So I don't have a set day. I put it out when I put it out. And if I happen to do a bonus video that week, then the bonus video will be there. And that's it. But it is taxing, but I have so many subjects in my head I want to cover. My brain's like a Rolodex. Yeah. And there's so many things I want to debunk. At the same time, while I'm debunking things about Satanism in general, I also want to teach people or share with people just to get the hamster wheels rolling in their brains, just so then maybe it'll inspire them or they could see things another way. Like a recent video I just put out, I was differentiating between theistic Satanism and left-hand path occultism, and that helped a lot more people than I thought. Like, a lot of people keep coming to me. I get tons of messages on Instagram of people who are confused over this because they think in order to be a Satanist, they have to practice high ceremonial magic, and that's not the case. And then they're following all these other YouTube channels who are lumping in Satanism or left-hand path. They're making the left-hand path seem that you have to do these elaborate rituals and you have to work with demons. And in general, Satanism is not that. Yes, some of us do practice magic, but not everybody. And the main base of theistic Satanism is the honor and worship of Satan. And I really want to make that clear. So I put out that video, but there will be a follow-up to that video going more into about these left-hand pathers, I call them, like occultists. And what they're putting out actually isn't even left-hand path. And I'm going to be calling that out. And I feel it's going to help a lot of people because, let's face it, people are lazy. They don't do their own research. They don't look into the history of anything. They're just, oh, this channel looks cool. This person seems knowledgeable. I'm just going to follow them. Even though I don't know what I'm doing, I'm just going to listen to this and accept it as is. And then later on down the line, they get very confused. So this is why I'm doing it, not really just to knife stab a bunch of people, although I don't mind doing that. I will. I do want to help people while I'm doing that.
Nice. Very inspirational.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I could be a tyrant. I could be nice, but I'm also a tyrant.
well, yeah, I think everybody can, if the right buttons are pressed. Absolutely. So,
yeah, but I take pleasure in it. That's the difference.
well, yeah, that's right. So I have put the links to your books in the show notes here. Do each of you have a Patreon as well?
I do.
You do? You've got a Patreon. Okay. All right. And what about you, Kindra? Do you have one?
No,
Okay.
no, not yet. Eventually, maybe with Nightshade on Hail on Horns, we'll do one sometime in the new year. But for myself personally, with my channel, I refuse to. I refuse to monetize my videos, and I refuse to use YouTube to make money off of in any way. So I will not have a Patreon. And the only way I will ever make, you could say, any kind of profit, which really isn't a lot, but anything off my followers and those who support me will be if they purchase the books I put out.
Okay. All right. So, I do have, let me catch up a little bit on some of the comments. Nightshade says, Hell and Horns, December schedule. So it looks like on the 11th, there will be a paranormal episode, and on the 25th will be Black Christmas special. Looking forward to that. I take it that's not going to be with White Christmas carols. Is that correct?
No, we didn't plan on that. That's going to be a really fun episode. Christmas Day, we're going to be doing our Black Christmas episode. We're going to touch a little bit on the actual history of Christmas or Yule. And then we're just going to be bashing the commercialism of the holiday, more or less. And anyone who wants to jump in on that, they're welcome to. And Paranormal on December 11th is going to be a lot of fun because Nightshade is a paranormal investigator. And I used to be a paranormal researcher on the scientific end of it. So we have a lot of stories to share. We both have all kinds of weird heebie-jeebie experiences on a personal level. And he recently had an extremely awesome experience with the Fae, or the Fae nature spirit, you could call it. And so he's going to elaborate more on that episode. And anyone else, again, in the audience who wants to jump in on that in the chat to share their ghost stories, go for it. It's going to be a laid-back, fun, haunting episode.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. So everybody in the audience, be sure and check that out. Really good stuff. And support these ladies any way you can. In order for people to continue to put out good quality content, you've got to support them and not just show up for an event. So go to Marie's Patreon, buy these books, support them so that we can keep this information coming out and we get good stuff and not just a bunch of shit on the internet. So, before I finish up, let me just check and make sure we've got all of the questions. I believe we've got everything. Let's see, I do have one more. Kindra, where can I order your book in the UK?
Amazon UK.
Amazon UK. All right.
Yeah, it's
And
offered on all Amazon platforms worldwide.
okay. All right. And let's see. Marie, I've read your book. It's amazing. Hello, Aleister. I have most of your books. They're great. Thank you, Alan, for those comments there, and thank you everyone for being here tonight. Again, consider donating, supporting the message, buying books, supporting the Patreon. All of this helps to do what we're doing right now. So again, thank you very much to my guest, Marie RavenSoul at Satan's Altar. If you don't have that book, you need to go get it right now. And the same thing for Kindra Ravenmoon, author of Lucifer, a devotional. These are two books that you need in your library. I've got them in my library back here, and you need to have them in yours. So ladies, thank you so much for tonight.
Thank you for
Thank
having us
you.
on, and thank you to everyone who tuned in.
Absolutely. Thank you, everyone. We had a really great audience. We ended up with a total of 33 people, and that kind of fluctuated up and down. We've got 24 live right now. It kind of comes and goes as it does during these events. But awesome. Thank you so much for being my guests. And until next time, this has been Aleister Nacht. Hail Satan.